Welcome to your home garage, and in this video I'm going to tackle if you should pressure wash your engine bay. And why wouldn't you be able to pressure wash your engine bay? After all, it gets somewhat wet and it is exposed to a lot of the outside elements. Well, you might just want to stick around for this video because I'm going to explain why it's not a great idea to use a pressure washer in your engine bay, along with 10 helpful hints and tips to effectively clean your engine so it's nicely detailed. So let's get started. So when you open your hood, you're going to notice a few major components. And some of those units are mechanical, such as your engine block, your heads, which are just under this cover, your manifold, you've got a water pump over there as well. And those mechanical units are typically only separated by a gasket. So if your water pressure is too high for those gaskets to handle, or sealers, and they're starting to fail, then the water can easily make its way into those areas and start to cause serious issues. Also, some of your air filters are not as airtight as you would expect, and you wouldn't want water or high pressure water getting into any of those areas. So if your vehicle is like this C6 Corvette, the cabin filter is actually on the inside of the firewall in the engine bay. So high pressure water can easily make its way through this lid because it's not watertight. And getting that cabin filter wet and then dry again through the drying process will actually start to form mold. And that will actually get into the cabin itself. The other major component that you have in your engine bay are all the hydraulic units. And on this particular vehicle, things that would have some sort of hydraulic fluid inside of it would be things like your clutch fluid, your brakes, your power steering, even your dry sump system for your oil. And if this just happened to be an automatic transmission, it'd be your transmission itself. Now, these fluids are specifically formulated, so if you were to contaminate them with water, then that could severely damage each one of your components. And a high pressure water system can easily make its way into each one of these containers. As you can see, they're not meant to actually handle high pressure water on the outside of them. You also want to make sure that the water doesn't mix with the oil. And in this particular case, the oil fill cap is on the dry sump. So as you can see, there's not much of a lip there whatsoever to keep high pressure water from making its way into the system. And lastly, today's vehicles contain numerous sensors and electrical components to make sure your vehicle runs properly. So the possibility of forcing water into any of these electrical components increases when you use a high pressure water device, which in turn could cause shorts and damage the components themselves. And when you look at the seal that goes around your fuse box, you'll probably notice it's not as watertight as you think it probably should be. So using a pressure washer can easily force water into that fuse box. And having water inside your fuse box could cause an endless amount of issues. And also your mass airflow sensor. Now, it is open in the engine bay and it is susceptible to small amounts of water, but not direct water from a high pressure system. And how about your alternator? Well, the outside of it's going to look really good when it's cleaned, but what about all these openings that are exposing vital electrical components? And what if the water was to force debris into there? Now that would be an outcome that you wouldn't want. And what about the belts themselves? Because high pressure water could actually force debris or small particles into the belt itself, which in turn could damage or make your belt squeal. So here's a fun fact for you. It's not the water itself that does the damage, but the microscopic impurities and ions in the water. So these ions can actually link together to form a chain. And if unlucky enough, both ends of that chain can actually make a connection between two different connection points. And if the vehicle was turned on, this will send electricity to somewhere that it's not supposed to, creating a short or likely causing severe damage. So the last thing you want is water to act as a conductor, along with eliminating any chance of future corrosion within your electrical components. And in this particular vehicle, the battery is actually inside the trunk. In any case, it's always the best practice to either remove the negative cable or actually just take the battery out itself. That way you eliminate any chance of an electrical short. And if you just happen to have an older vehicle with a carburetor and highly exposed distributor cap, well, you're likely inviting a lot of trouble when you're using high water pressure, because A lot of those older components are susceptible to water damage and can easily cause a misfire or just won't start. So now that you know about the risks of actually using a pressure washer in your engine bay, let's talk about a safe way that you can actually detail your engine. So to show you an effective way of detailing an engine bay, I'm going to use this 2002 Dodge Durango. It's 2020 now, and this thing has never had its engine detailed. So the first step is to make sure the engine is cold before you're working on it, because not only would a hot engine potentially harm you, but spraying cold water on a hot surface will likely lead to serious issues. Next, you'll want to remove the battery, or at the very least, disconnect the negative cable, because you don't want an electrical current going through the vehicle while you're spraying water on it. And because we're trying to use the least amount of water as possible in the engine bay, it's always handy to have your shop vac ready, and with a number of brushes, loosen and remove as much debris as possible. And then switch the hose on the shop vac so it acts as a blower instead of a vacuum. Also, schedule your engine detail on a warm day so the sun can actually help with the drying process. Now go ahead and tape and cover off any exposed wiring and major electrical components, especially the alternator and fuse box. Now go ahead with a light spray from a garden hose, because we ended up ruling out the pressure washer, and I like to start off with a soapy water mixture first before moving to a degreaser. Scrub each part rather than using excessive water to do all the cleaning for you. Now, it's a lot more labor intensive, but the outcome is well worth it, along with the peace of mind of using far less water. Now you can apply your degreaser and then continue on with the agitation process. And finally, go ahead with a light rinse. Use a couple of rags to dry off each one of the components. And don't forget to leave the hood up so the sun can actually dry everything thoroughly. And you're going to want to repeat this on a regular basis, so it makes it easier the next time you actually go and you detail your engine bay. Personally, I like to do my cars in the spring and the fall. Now you could go ahead and tackle your engine bay detail nice and safe, and you know you don't need a pressure washer to do it. But before you go ahead and you do that, don't forget to hit that like button. Of course, share this video with a friend and hit that subscribe button. And we'll see you next time on Your Home Garage.